We got a couple of letters from yesterday's program. I want to knock them out, and then we'll get to the general letters for this special edition of the No Spin News. So we got George says companies that take strong political stands get none of my business, regardless of whom they support. Same goes for celebrities. It's an abuse of power. Okay. I don't dispute that. I do respect people speaking their minds if they feel it necessary. But if you want to not buy from them, absolutely within your rights. Terry Monaco, Daytona Beach, Florida. What happened this week with Elise Stefanik? Well, she is the congressman from New York who's going to run against Governor Hochul. She dropped out of the race and given up her congressional seat in upstate New York. I was surprised. She raised $12 million. I made a few calls to people in the know, and they say she did not want a Republican primary. The congresswoman didn't want to go through that. And Bruce Blakeman, who runs my county, Nassau, announced that he was going to run. And then Trump said, oh, I like them both, clearly signaling he was going to make an endorsement, and that Ms. Stefanik counted on that endorsement. So she said, well, I'm not going to go through the process. He's got a young son, and I understand. Stephen Holzmeyer, Evansville, Indiana. Your comment, O'Reilly, on the issue of high insurance rates is right on the mark. My home and auto recorded record earnings 2024, yet hit me with a 21% increase in premiums. Agreed. And I talked to President Trump about this when I was at the White House a couple of weeks ago. I think he's going to do something. I hope so, because just greed. Everybody's getting pounded, and these guys are making record amounts of money because they know you got to have insurance. State law. Cannot have it. It'd be foolish not to have it anyway. Okay, so that's the breaking news of the day. Let's go to, and we appreciate everybody who's written in. I can't read them all, but I read them all. I did. I read every single one of them. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time. So Anna in Netawaka, Kansas, kicks us off. What do you think was the most important story you covered this year and the most frivolous? The border was the most important. President Trump sealing down that border was a stunning achievement that quickly. And stopping that madness, very important. The most frivolous is this internet stuff. I don't know why anybody wasted time on it. It means absolutely nothing. Alan, West Monroe, New York. Why are there so many pharmaceutical commercials constantly bombarding television? Yet the healthcare is so expensive. Again, greed. So these companies want your money. They're going to tell you what they have. They're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars doing that. And they'll make it up with sales, and then they'll raise their prices on the sales, on the drugs. Nice, right? Wrong. Ruth, Manahawkin, New Jersey. You may have addressed this, but I missed it. What's your opinion on ending the filibuster? That would throw the government into chaos, because then every 2 years, you'd have new laws coming in. Donald Trump has this law, and then who's ever after him? Well, no, we go back in this law. So Congress couldn't do any work, new work. They'd be old work, changing laws all the time. That's why the filibuster was put there, to prevent that kind of chaos in the Senate and the House. I am opposed to knocking out the filibuster. Harold, Tucson, Arizona. Regarding the Ukraine war, I see it as going down this way. Putin is the new Adolf Hitler, and the Russian military and people are the new German Nazis. President Trump seems to be siding with the Russians, urging the Ukrainians to surrender. What's your view? he's not siding with the Russians. He knows that Putin's not going to stop unless he gets the occupied land that he holds. Though the war go on forever, and people will die forever. So the president is urging Zelensky to say, okay, I'm losing 12% of my land, but I'm going to get security guarantees from NATO, so Putin can't take any more. And Trump says best deal he can get, but he's not siding with Russia. Renee, San Antonio, Texas, what would your ideal Christmas present be? You know, Renee is the God's honest truth. There isn't anything on the face of the earth that I want. Nothing. I'm not a material guy, never have been. I have 2 nice homes. Okay, I work for them. And they are probably my best purchases ever. I have a 10-year-old car. It's a great car. Cadillac. It's got an 8 in it. I know global warming, but boy, is this a good car. I'm not going to get rid of it. I get my suits free because, some companies want to be associated with me. There's really nothing that I want. So what I try to do is when people want to give me gifts, I said, look, give it to this charity. This year I'm big on Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the mentoring groups, which are all over the country. So thank you for asking, though, Renee. Brian, Palmetto, Florida. Can we hear more about the books you are reading or find interesting? My reading is cut down drastically because I'm writing my next book called Confronting America, What Has to Change. It takes up all of my discretionary time. There's a historian named Rick Atkinson. It's good. He's got a Revolutionary War trilogy right now. You might check that out. And the second part of Brian's question is, do you ever read authors that have different political opinions than you, such as Stephen King? Of course I do. Of course. The Stand, King's best work. Excellent book. Tracy, Eden Prairie, Minnesota. You think Governor Pritzker is the worst, or, as Tim Walz' ineptitude rocket him to the top of the list? That's a close one. But since Illinois is a bigger state and more people dying on a daily basis, I got to still go with Pritzker. Walz is really bad. How the Democratic Party could have ever selected him as VP? Hard to believe. Boy, is he horrible. And that was a SOP, S-O-P, to the far left. They love Walz. Jack, Chandler, Arizona. What do you believe is the greatest danger facing the USA next year, 2026? I think that China is a danger to the world, danger to everybody. And I'm hoping that in April, President Trump can wrap up a fair trade deal so that the Chinese back off a little bit. That's a country that could do major damage to this country and to the world. All right, that's why I went there to Beijing in May. That's the big one. Ed, Bill, please explain your rationale on how you arrive at 15% of the population being evil. As I always say, this is an observational stat. Ken, I've been all over the world, covered wars, covered everything. Know everybody. About 15%. It's growing. Number's growing. As religion declines, spirituality declines, evil is rising. No doubt in my mind. Michael, Manhattan Beach, California. How can you believe Democrats, once they're back in power, would not open the border again? I have no doubt they would, because they need all the voters. Okay, that's possible, but I don't think they could do it the way Biden did it, with 15 million pouring in here. That destroyed Biden's presidency. There'd probably be more lax. I think that would be an easy prediction. Lawrence, San Angelo, Texas. Is it at all possible, as President Trump proposes, that the tariff revenue would negate income taxes. No, it's just not enough. Not enough money. It's not going to negate income taxes. Why would the government do that? Yeah, it would get votes, but government needs a lot of money, trillions every year. They're not going to negate income taxes because tariffs come and go. Okay, let's go to Arlene, San Luis Obispo, California, nice town. What do you consider the biggest challenge President Trump faces in heading into the new year? Bringing prices down. So he's on the way with the gas, as we reported up top, but food is vexing. You got to get those food prices down. And insurance, that's the big one. You know, you don't have to go to a restaurant. You don't have to eat porterhouse steak. You can eat chicken or tuna or things that are a lot less expensive. You got to have insurance. And those insurance companies are gouging us. Absolutely. So the president's got to take it on. If he does, could turn to win a good chance Republicans will win the midterms. That's how big this is. Ted, Winfield, Missouri. President Trump has proposed term limits for houses of Congress. Appears that Americans support that. Is there any realistic way it'll be enacted? No. Americans do support term limits, but the people in the Senate and the House don't want to give up their power. So at this point in history, could change down the road, not happening. Sylvester, Keiha, Hawaii. I would like it if you could find out, O'Reilly, the reason for Hawaii's food being so much higher than in the mainland, even if you take into account the shipping costs. Because number one, you have taxes like crazy, taxing everything in Hawaii, highest taxed. Is it the highest tax state? It's almost tied with New York, but you know you have plenty of tax. And it's the shipping is just huge. What's Hawaii, 2,000 miles away from California? I mean, it's just harder to get it there. And that's why. David, Lumberton, New Jersey. What can be done to stop public figures from ignoring laws they don't like judges? I'm sure you're talking about that. Litigation. You challenge the judge is overturned. Now, if you got soft on crime judges, as we do here in New York City and other big urban areas, they don't want to prosecute anybody. And so miscreants go out and they commit crimes over and over, violent crimes. You can impeach them, they'll never happen. Or you can vote them out. The machine here in New York is Democrat. They kind of like the soft judges, I guess. Most people don't even know who the judges are or what they do. You have to be microed in on that. And most people don't have the time to do it. Shane, Bunker Hill, Indiana. Are you going to get another dog at some point? Boy, we miss Holly here, the terror dog, particularly around Christmas. But I can't get a dog right now because I have too much to do. And when I had Holly, I never put her in a kennel. So we had to get other people coming in and minding her. And the big thing is the urchins are out now. They're not here. So they used to take care of Holly. I'd like to get another dog. There's a dog in the neighborhood named Finnegan, who's a really nice dog, but I can't at this point. Travis, Danville, Illinois. What are your traditions for Christmas and New Year's? New Year's, nothing. Phony holiday. So I'm not watching the games. I've never been a New Year's guy, ever. Had to cover Times Square a few times as a reporter. Ooh, not good. Christmas, traditional. Everybody comes over, exchanges gifts on Christmas Day, because we go to church on Christmas Eve. I used to go to midnight mass, but I'd be nodding off in the epistle if I went now. So we go to early evening mass. And then after the gifts, we have a nice dinner. Think like Christmas music and, all that, nothing big. Craig, Philly, Nebraska. Bill, where does Lyndon Johnson stand in your ranking of the worst presidents? Top 10. Johnson lied about Vietnam. 55,000 dead, more than 100,000, probably 200,000 Americans hurt. And Johnson didn't tell the truth. Whatever else he did doesn't really matter. And it's a good chapter in Confronting the Presidents because I document everything. He was not a good guy. Karen, The Villages, Florida. With all the extra money we're making for tariffs, why doesn't anybody mention paying down a huge deficit? It's been mentioned, but Donald Trump's a spender. He's not a frugal guy. He wants to expand this. They're building all the Navy ships now. All of it's necessary, but it's not going to pay down the debt. Jay, Santa Barbara, California. Bill, with all of you contributed to journalism improving the well-being of this country, what is your singular moment above all others that you are most proud of? That would be raising more than $30 million to get those track chairs for the severely wounded vets in Iraq and Afghanistan. That was quite an achievement to do that. And I had to put the arm on the presidents to do it and help out, but we got it done. Every single vet who needed a track chair got it from the Independence Fund. Every one. And they cost $15,000 to $20,000 each, those chairs. But it gives you freedom. You go to the beach, you go hunting, get around. So that is by far the most important thing that I've done in my journalism career. James, San Antonio, another San Antonio. Hope you guys get on a river walk. I know you will for Christmas, nicely decorated there. What do you have to say about school choice as a state or national law? State is good. Feds don't get involved with education. That's a state or local concern, so that's not happening. But I believe that Americans should have a choice to send their kids to school. Now, it's a little complicated because the private schools have to remain privately funded. They cost more than our public schools. But they're opening now charter schools, where there's more discipline. There's more emphasis on education and other frivolities. So I'm for that, for sure. Barry, Brownstown, Michigan. Previously, I asked you why you weren't a fan of Bibi Netanyahu, and you responded he was too inflexible in his response to the war. In light of recent events in Australia and other Islamic threats, are you becoming more sympathetic to Netanyahu's approach? I was never opposed to Netanyahu's hard line against Islamic terrorism, ever. But there comes a point where you have to bend a little bit to get things done. Now, Trump has handled Netanyahu very well. Biden was ridiculous. Netanyahu hated him, and he hated Netanyahu, and they got nothing done, and it was chaos. That's what led up to October 7th. Okay, but Trump, I don't think Trump's particularly fond of Bibi, but they work together, which is the most important thing. Wendy, Kamalela, Hawaii. It's time for the conversation to shift to Islam is not compatible with our American values. Will you focus on this in the new year? No. Why would I do that? Muslims are less than 1% of the United States population. They're a factor in a few towns, but there's no Muslim threat from within. FBI's all over that. So why would I focus on it? Got a lot of stories, Wendy, that are getting really important here. Jason, Scottsdale, Arizona. If Teddy Roosevelt existed today, would he have used Twitter in a similar way to Donald Trump? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Both are very bellicose, word of the day, blustery, big personalities. But Teddy had some advisors close to him that pulled him back a little bit when Teddy got a little raucous. Donald Trump doesn't have that. I think the closest thing might be me, but Teddy did have that. So Teddy's instinct was just like President Trump's instinct, go get him. But sometimes he restrained himself. William Lakewood, Ohio. In your opinion, what are the two most important improvements needed from the Trump administration that would keep us in control of the Senate and House? Us? Was there a mouse in your pocket? The old cliche joke. Us? I assume you're a Republican. Obviously, lowering prices is enormous, as we've gone over and over and over. It's enormous. And I think the healthcare situation, new healthcare legislation might not get passed, but if the Republicans put it up so everybody can see it, that'll help a lot. Robert, Houston, Texas. President is focusing on supply side drug control. If you were president, what specific steps would you take to reduce drug demand in the USA? So if you're a criminal and you are arrested for committing a crime, allegedly, you would be drug tested. And they do that now for public safety. If you had drugs in your bloodstream and you were convicted of the crime, then you would be sent to an in-house rehab center. That means for a period of time, say a year, 18 months, you're off the street. And you're in non-voluntary rehab. That will crush the market because most drug addicts are criminals. Committing crimes is a sport to habit. So that's what I would do, and they do it in a number of countries, and it works. Matthew, Syracuse, New York. My question is, who do you feel are the next generation of quality journalists? I enjoy your appearance on News Nation with Leland Vittert. I feel he is an investigative and objective person, much like yourself. Vitter's very good. Very good. And brave. If you read his book, Born Lucky, you'll see that. So he's one. There are a few. News Nation has a good young crew, I think. They try to be objective. Fox has some good people. Stronger women than men now, interestingly enough, at Fox. But they have some good reporters on the street, no doubt. The networks, I don't follow them that closely, but what I see is not impressive. You got to have guts to be a good reporter. Alfred, Paris, California. Joe Biden did something good. He signed the PAC Act. It helped more than veterans claim benefits. I didn't serve in Vietnam, but in Thailand, where they did spray Agent Orange. Okay, the PAC Act. I didn't even know about it. So I'm glad. Our war vets should get every opportunity. So thank you for telling me that, Alfred. Brandon, Fishers, Indiana. What can President Trump do to lower insurance costs? Can he put political pressure on the states to somehow get them to let us buy cheaper insurance across state lines? States can't do that. Congress can. That's where the pressure should go. So insurance should be able to be purchased across state lines. Okay? That would lower the costs. But the insurance companies, they can be pressured by President Trump directly. He can sign deals with them. For example, the president can say, hey, I want you to lower your premium prices an average of 15%. What are they going to say? No? That wouldn't be wise. So he can do it. Matter will. Bernard, Silver Spring, Maryland. What would the United States have done if Germany did not declare war on the USA after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor? Well, Germany was trying to take over the world. The United States was supplying Great Britain and other countries that were resisting. So sooner or later, there was going to be a reckoning between Hitler and FDR. That's most likely would have happened. And this, Bernard's second question, history. Why wasn't General MacArthur court-martialed for not being prepared after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor? That wasn't MacArthur's fault. He's a general, not a strategist, not intel. The better question might be, with all due respect, Bernard, why wasn't he court-martialed when he defied President Truman about using the atom bomb against the Chinese? That was clear insubordination. And the answer to that question is MacArthur was far too popular in the United States for Truman to do that. Lindy, Peyton, Colorado. Hey, Bill, my question concerns the midterms and the 2028 election. You mentioned that the midterms could be affected by the economy and how President Trump is managing it, potentially allowing Democrats to regain control of Congress. Same time, you've stated the Democratic Party is on the verge of collapse and unlikely to get it together for the midterms. If we end up with a lame duck president, how might that affect the election in 2028? All right. Number one, I didn't say that the Democratic Party is on the verge of collapse. I don't believe I said that. I said it has not rehabbed itself from its dependence on the far left progressive loons still associated with them. That is not good. And I'm not seeing a lot of good policy coming out of Democratic precincts. I'm seeing a lot of criticism. Not seeing a lot of positive stuff. Are you? If you are, let me know. But I'm not seeing it. If President Trump loses one or both houses, then he is curtailed. His power declines. So that would obviously hurt the Republicans in 28. William, Las Cruces, New Mexico. One of my biggest concerns is lack of integrity of our judicial branch. Will the Department of Justice start to show progress toward prosecuting high-ranking lawbreakers? Yeah, if they have evidence. You gotta have evidence. And figure if they did, they'd prosecute, right? Frank, Miami. I'd like to know how you became such an effective speaker. I'm involved in training law enforcement. I have to give presentations. Any tips? Okay, I was born with the gift of blarney. A lot of Irishmen have it, Irish women too. Born with it. And I discovered it in 6th grade, Mrs. Boyle's class. Then I got up, she said, all right, William, you explain the Kennedy-Nixon debate. And I did, to all the urchins. So I watched it. It just came. So it's a gift. Now, if you're going to give a speech, you, number one, keep it pithy. Don't go longer than 3 minutes on any topic. And limit your suggestions, maybe 5. People's concentration spans much less than they used to be. Got it, boom, boom, boom. Hit it, hit it, hit it. And then you can open it up for questions if they want more, like we're doing here. Scott, San Diego. Tell us what you changed to secure America's future. Where are Bill O'Reilly's steps to save America? Well, they're in confronting America, what has to change. There's a whole bunch of them in there. But I'll give you one. So public schools have to start teaching history, geography, and civics. Have to. Federal government can't impose it. States can. And that is huge for Americans' future. Urchins don't know very much. Luke, Hannes, Texas. When you were researching and writing Confronting Evil, Was there something you learned that you didn't know? Putin. I mean, I learn everything. Every chapter I learn stuff. But Putin's upbringing, but I didn't know anything about that. That is huge to understanding what he does today. Doug, my gut says Republicans will keep the Senate but lose the House. If this happens, will this effectively end the remainder of President Trump's second term? No, he can still do executive orders. But, with the filibuster at 60 votes in the Senate and a Democratic House, not going to get much through. We have a complicated democracy here. Most people don't understand it, as I just mentioned. Daniel Rancho, Santa Fe, California. I'm 70 years old, been struggling with the following question. Is the country worse today than the past, or do we just know everything everywhere instantaneously? America hit a high water mark at the end of World War II. So the country was together, united. Still blacks were discriminated against, and, Native Americans, and still had that. But the majority of Americans was the era of good feeling. And that lasted until the Vietnam War. And since then, it's been a slide into partisan politics, into hateful situations. Media has exacerbated that, social media in particular. So, there's a chance we might come back to some form of civility, but I probably won't see it in my lifetime. Michael, Morristown, Tennessee. You're the last man standing in your generation of newsmen. I think a book that would easily be a million seller would be your own career. There's a lot of my own career in confronting America. A lot. Because that's how I back up what has to change, what I've seen. But that's a great suggestion, Michael, and I appreciate it very much. Marianne, Bloomington, Indiana. What does affordable mean in affordable housing? 140-unit lavish four-story building popped up in my backyard. Building includes a garage, a gym, rent $1,000 a month. Is that affordable? Yeah. $1,000 a month is affordable. Grab it. One more, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll finish up, okay? Greg in Lebanon, Missouri. I'm blessed to work with high school students at my church. Given your expertise in writing about history and your engagement with current events, what reasons would you share with the young people about hope for the future? Because we lead the league in opportunities by what? There's no even close second. So all young people, if they work hard, be honest, develop a skill, and understand the system, capitalism, you got a myriad of opportunities. Where else do you have that? Not the EU, not India, it's here. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment. Let us wrap it up with Mark in Westfield, Indiana. Will we ever get a balanced budget amendment? No. Government wants to spend money. And then there are emergencies and this, that, and Democratic Party's the biggest spender, but the Republicans don't want it. They want the money to spend. So excellent questions. Really appreciate it. I do. And, I'm trying to look for a different way into the Christmas thing. I'm going to do a YouTube commentary on Christmas all over the world. That goes. And, but not religious, just why the celebration is here and what it means, what it used to mean and what it means now. There's a difference. So we're going to do that. Hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Bill O'Reilly. And that'd be a good thing to have for the new year. Okay? This is real last minute, but if you need a gift, concierge and premium membership to BillO'Reilly.com, we can get it to you. The book will come later because you get a free book. And again, 26, you got concierge membership, it's going to help you or anybody you gift it to a lot if you get into trouble. So as we said in the Q&A, and again, very good questions. I hope you enjoyed it. My Christmas is low key. I like it that way. I'll watch a little bit of, Laurel and Hardy, Babes in Toyland. It's amazing how 1930, I think that movie was made, and you just watch it and you see like that. And then I'll watch a little bit of the games. I don't like games on Christmas too much. NFL, they're not Christmas people over. So there'll be some games on, and then we'll do the music thing most of all. I want you and your family and your friends to have a very, very Merry Christmas. And that means that enjoy yourself. Get all the stress out of your mind. If you feel yourself getting tense, deep breaths. Take a little walk, deep breaths. You want to have a very kind day, C-I-N-D. Kind day. You be kind, have the atmosphere, be benevolent. That's what you want. And then 26 rolls around pretty fast. So enjoy the next 48 hours. I'm Bill O'Reilly, always looking out for you. Thank you for being loyal listeners and watchers of the No Spin News. And we will see you again in 2026.